So, in today's session, we'll discuss about anatomy of a computer. First, let's try to understand what exactly the anatomy is. So, basically, anatomy means it's a internal, it's the study of the internal structure, like how exactly internally the computer has been built. What are all the components which are part of the the system, and what are the different components make the work, the work has to be happen. So, that is what exactly the structure, internal structure, how exactly it works. So, with respect to the internal structure, we will try to understand, that is called anatomy. So, now we will talk about the anatomy of the computer. So, basically just by I think you can see this diagram. So, the structure or the anatomy of the computer, basically these are some of the input and output devices and also the internal. So, we know that there will be a monitor and there will be a keyboard, very basic structure if we take, and there will be a mouse and there will be a CPU, right. So, now how these input as well as output will be connected with the CPU. So, the CPU has is nothing but central processing unit. That CPU has different components, maybe it is a control unit or it may be a ALU, it is nothing but arithmetic logic unit, and some of the registers. Basically, we will discuss that registers in detail, but right now it is a kind of registers will be basically used to store the temporary or kind of a storage unit. And of course, even we have a separate storage, it is a main memory and secondary memory. We also call it as a primary memory and then the secondary. This will be call it as memory unit. By just combining all these, it is a CPU. So, in our PCs we have all these components internally, it has been together, and that unit we call it as CPU. So, whatever the data you just give as a user, we are receiving the data from the user through the input devices, either maybe a keyboard or mouse, that will be interacted through your CPU. So, based on your request, it will process, it will store in this memory units, maybe it is a primary or it may be in the secondary if you have connected any secondary storage devices. If there is any arithmetic logical operation, that will be performed at the ALU, and the data will be stored temporarily in this registers, and even may have some of the registers, like when we are talking about the low level languages, we have some kind of, maybe if I talk about some examples like accumulator, store accumulator, or maybe there is a register which we are moving from one variable to another variable, like that. So, all those the temporary storage, that will be stored in these registers and the control unit will just it will basically it will control all the processing part, everything will be together within this CPU, and finally after processing, that will be communicated to the output devices. This is how the the structure, or internally this is how the system has been built. Okay. So, I think we will discuss the same introduction. So, a whole computer has been divided into the two components which are responsible for what? So, to receive, there is nothing but to get the input and also to give the output data, and basically before, in between, there is a process, it will process the data in the form, or it will be electronically control the data which you have given in the form of input, and it will process it and it will generate the output, and if required, whatever the data you have, that will be stored, and the all together it is divided into the two components. You can see the whole anatomy of the computer has been divided into these two components, hardware and software, as we discussed. So, the entire anatomy, we are talking about the input device, we discussed, right, we discussed about input, output, in between there is a CPU. So, the whole, so either it may be a internal or it may be external devices, the whole components has been divided either one of these, hardware or software components. By using these two, we will try to understand the anatomy, how exactly hardware and software components will help you to process the data, or will help to perform something. So, computer hardware, yes, we are already aware of it, right? Anything, or we can put it in this simple words, the parts of the computer system, anything which you can see or touch, that is called as computer hardware. Anything in the sense with respect to the computer, so I am talking. So, some of the examples: mouse, keyboard, monitor, motherboard, CPU, memory units, right, hard disk drive. All these are examples of hardware components. See, this is an example: mouse, keyboard, monitor, CPU, motherboard, RAM. So, these are the simple hardware devices. By using keyboard, we are sending the input. By using the mouse, and with respect to the output device, yes, monitor, whatever you enter in the form of through the input devices, that will process and you will get the result to the output devices, right. Similarly, we will just try to understand the software. So, one is hardware, that we can, the components are the things which we can see and touch, but the software is another component. Basically, software is nothing but the program, all we call it a set of instructions. What exactly you want to do, we are writing some set of instructions and we are giving those instructions to the computer, what exactly you need to do. We are just giving that. Software is nothing but the instructions that will tell to the computer what to do, right. So, basically this software comprises set of programs, we call it a set of instructions, are nothing but the programs, and even the procedures. There are so many things we will write as a procedure, and also we call it as routines, which are all associated with the operations of the computer system. Basically, how important hardware is, the same thing, whatever you are sending, at the same another end, software components are also very important, because it is all the software is basically it is a set of instructions to make it work, or to instruct the computer, this is what you need to do. So, whole the if you talk about the software, there are varieties, or there are different forms of types of softwares. We call it as system software, programming software, application software, and there will be a malicious software. These are the different types of softwares we can see. Now, we will try to understand one by one what exactly the application software is, system software is, programming softwares are, right. Now, so we will try to understand through an example, we will try to understand system softwares. So, maybe anything which you want to work, first very core component is OS, operating system, right. So, some of these that we can put it under this category, system software. There are very commonly as a normal user, Windows, it is because it is a very user friendly, that is one of the very frequently most of the people aware of it, right, that Windows, and even some people are using MacBook. So, Mac OS and even Unix, Linux, these are all the operating systems which are fall into this category, system software category. And another category is application software. We will try to understand what is system software, application software later, but through an example. Probably once we come to know the example, we will get an idea what exactly the system set of instructions or application programs are nothing but the software. So, anything which is related to the application, if you whenever you want to perform something or particular task, definitely we go for this application software. So, these are the some of the typical examples for the application software: Word, MS Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and anything which you want to play an audio or video, some music applications, right. And so, every day now we are just connecting through virtually through the platforms like Zoom or another team. So, even those are all the softwares and browsers, anything which you want to connect to the web server through this internet browsers, we will use nowadays very commonly used Chrome, Firefox, Safari, all these browsers are belonging to the application software category. And another important category, so whatever you want to make as an application, there is another set of software is required, that is programming software. Through these programming softwares, we will build either system or an application. So, most commonly used programming softwares are Java, JavaScript, SQL, right, C++, Python. So, these are the some of the examples for your programming softwares. So, now we will go. System software is a collection of programs. Why do we need system software and what exactly the system software? So, it is a collection of the programs. So, program is nothing but instructions. So, set of or collection of the programs which are designed for what? To operate anything which with respect to your requirements and control, and also we are extending our processing capabilities, what exactly you want to process. So, maybe on top of that we are extending that ability of the computer itself. So, system software is generally which is prepared by the computer manufacturers. Whenever whoever manufacture the systems, most probably generally they will only prepare all these system software. That is how whenever we buy any laptop or PC, automatically along with the system they have installed OS, right, this operating system. So, through operating system anything you want to work, any application I want to make it work or I want to install. So, the core component what is that? System software is required. If I want to take a print, yes you can take a print, but without system software it will not work. I want to play a video, yes you can play, but without system software no, it will not possible. So, that is the reason software this set of programs, system programs or system software will help you to make the application software work, right. So, software product which comprises of programs written low level languages that will interact with the hardware, whatever the low programs language programming language, low level programming languages are, basically we call it as system software that will help you to interact with the hardware components. So, first I want to interact or I want to enter something through the keyboard, that has to be installed and proper the respective drivers has to be installed along with your system software. So, that your keyboard or maybe a mouse or it may be a printer that has to be interacted with your processing unit. That is how you can interact with the hardware devices. That is how system softwares will help you to interact with the hardware devices, right. And also it will basically what we can say, it will provide an interface between the hardware and the end users. We are the end users and monitor and then keyboard or the printer or whatever the other hardware devices, basically it will help you to interact between the user and the hardware component. So, this is how system software will help. And again when it comes to the only system software, there are again different classifications as we discussed. Mac or Windows, right, Unix, Linux, these are all come under this operating system category. Say Windows, Android, Mac OS, iOS, Linux. Now, device drivers, just now we discussed, right, just now I spoke about the printer, I spoke about the keyboard or scanner. So, some drivers are required because you are sending some instructions through the keyboard and you are scanning something through the scanner. So, the respective drivers has to be installed. That is also a system, those are also a system softwares. It will again provide an interface between that particular device and your processing unit. So, some of the examples for device drivers, your BIOS, basic input output drivers, display driver, or it may be a sound card reader, or it may be a USB printer. Earlier we used to install these drivers separately, but now everything is a part of that drivers only. See, suppose I want to copy a data from system to the USB or maybe we can say the pen drive. So, once you install the pen drive, automatically the respective drivers will be a part of your system. And similarly, if I want to play audio or video, so if there is no sound card drivers, then you cannot hear the voice or the sound. So, that means these drivers are very much essential to make it work. And next, firmwares. So, this is another set of system software, and these are some of the examples. Again, BIOS, UEFI, and embedded systems, computer peripherals and computer applications. These are all related to the category called firmware. And another section is language translator. There will be an interpreter, compiler and assembler. This is very much important, because anything which we write or any programming language which you take, so that we will write it in the form of high level language. What is high level language? Again, we are writing in our own, like English, that will be in the form of high level language. We just use normal language, but the system will not understand the high level language, and exactly whatever or however you have written, it will not be considered the same way, because your a compiler or your interpreter, that will not understand it. Suppose if I am writing the program using Java or Python, how exactly this is a syntax of Python, or how exactly it will come to know this is a syntax of C. So, someone has to give the instruction, right? Who will give that instruction? So, these are the language translators. So, whatever the language we use, that is high level language, that will be translated into the language which is understand machine, that we call it as high level language to the machine level language. So, there are few programming languages which will take the help of interpreter as a translator. That interpreter will convert high level into the machine level, and even the compiler also, some few languages will take the help of compiler. Even that compiler also does the same thing, it will translate from high level language to the low level, machine level language. So, next, okay, before getting to the assembler, we will try to understand what, then both are doing the same job, right? Both interpreter and compiler will translate the language high level to the low machine level. Then why do you need why do you need two translators, even though it does both are both does the same job? So, because there is a little very thin layer difference between these two. Interpreter also converts from high level to the machine, and even compiler also does the same thing, but difference is interpreter, it will interprets, it will translate from high level to the machine level in the form of line by line, one line at a time. Suppose if I have 10 lines, first it will take the first line, then it will translate to the machine level language, and then it will go to the next line, and that will be translated to the next machine level. Like that, it will go line by line. But when you take the compiler, even that compiler also does the same thing, but what happens? It will take all 10 lines at a time, and then it will compile it, and then it will translate it to the the machine level language. That is the only difference between the compiler and interpreter. You take any programming languages, these language translators are must. So, assembly language, you want to convert assembly language to the machine level language, so that assembler will come into the picture, right. So, these are the language translators. Again, these are also belonging to the system software. Another component, system software component, is utilities. So, there are so many examples. You can see the antiviruses and even the RAR file or zip file. These are all softwares which come under the utility software. So, these are the different classification of the system software: OS, device drivers, firmware, language translators, and then the utility. Right. Now, we will just move on to the application software. Basically, what is application software? It is again the computer program, is again all the softwares are set of instructions are the programs, but this will be designed to carry a specific task. So, system softwares is, or it will require to provide, or it will be helpful to provide an interface between user and your hardware devices. But this application softwares are also a set of instruction, but these application softwares are specifically designed to carry a particular task other than relating to the operations of the computer itself. It is not related to your core computer, it is all related to the one particular task. So, these are some of the examples. Word processor, this word processor will help you to prepare a document, to just say there are different operations with respect to the word processor. Media player, what it does? It will just play media, whether it may be audio or video. And there will be an accounting software. Accounting, it is again application software, it will do the only accounting activities which are related, the only those particular tasks will be performed by this accounting software. There are so many application softwares on top of the machine. Whatever you do or whatever the, we are sending a mail, we are just receiving the mail, or we are just playing the video, or we are booking some tickets, movie tickets, or maybe a bus tickets, everything is through this application softwares. So, some of the examples of application softwares are this: payroll software, student record software, inventory management software, income tax software, railways. Everywhere we just most of the organizations have this software, that is a payroll software. So, it is like because how many working days and how many days are the employee who has and the loss of pay, and everything automatically it calculates, and there are some employees who are on daily wages. So, for everything they use this application software. And suppose in any organization, students record software, if you go for any college or in the schools, so everything maintained of the data of the student will be maintained in the software, when he got admitted, and his address, his complete personal information, and each and every semester marks, and even the each academic year marks, what is the grade he secured, everything we are just he leave register and everything that is maintained in this record student record software. Similarly, there are so many application software, all the income tax related tasks that will be performed through the income tax software. And railways, whenever you want to book a ticket through the railways, you can use this railway reservation. In the same way, we have a bus ticket reservation, and at the same time we have a Microsoft Office suite. In that we have a Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Word is for one particular task, Excel we are using for one particular task, and similarly the PowerPoint, which is just to make the slides for the presentation. So, I think from this we will conclude this anatomy of the computer. Next session will discuss about the functional components of the software.